Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are going to climb the cognitive ladder of AI mastery, starting with foundational philosophy and going all the way up to advanced agentic coding. Look, we all know AI is moving incredibly fast. It's gone from a neat little novelty to an absolutely mandatory workplace skill practically overnight. So whether you're just starting to integrate these tools into your daily routine, or you're a seasoned pro looking to unlock their most powerful autonomous features, understanding exactly how to communicate, evaluate, and collaborate with these models is absolutely crucial. Today, we're diving into the essential vocabulary and frameworks that will empower you to be not just a casual user of AI, but a true director of it.
Okay, here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the 4 Ds of fluency. Then we'll take a look inside the AI brain. Third, mastering prompt engineering. Fourth, the 3 modes of interaction. And finally, coding with Claude agents.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the 4 Ds of fluency, a holistic framework.
Before we even think about touching a keyboard, we've got to master the fundamental philosophy of AI fluency. Think of these as the 4 pillars that support all successful human-AI collaboration. And the first D is delegation. You need to clearly understand your own goals alongside the AI's capabilities, so you can strategically distribute the workload. This requires what we call problem awareness. You've got to ask yourself, is this a fluid, creative brainstorming task, or is it a strict, repetitive, data sorting task? You also need platform awareness, which just means knowing the specific limits of the AI you're actually using. When you combine those 2 things, you can thoughtfully distribute the tasks. You let the AI do the heavy lifting, but you keep the high-level, strategic thinking firmly in your own hands.
Once you've figured out what to delegate, you move on to the second D, which is description. This is way more than just asking a question. It's about defining the product, meaning the exact format and audience for your output. It's about defining the process, giving the AI explicit step-by-step instructions to follow. And maybe most importantly, it's defining the performance. For instance, you could tell the AI to adopt the persona of a ruthless, strict editor to completely tear apart your rough draft, or you could ask it to be a highly supportive brainstorming partner to help you generate out-of-the-box ideas.
Now, the third D shifts the burden of work entirely back to us, discernment. We literally have to be critical thinkers who actively hunt for lapses in the AI's attention or reasoning. You can't just blindly accept whatever the model spits out. You have to evaluate the product for coherence and relevance. And you really need to practice process discernment. If the AI solves a super complex math problem for you, don't just nod and look at the final number. You have to trace the actual steps it took to get there to make absolutely sure it didn't rely on flawed hallucinatory logic along the way.
Finally, we have diligence. This is the reminder that at the end of the day, we have to vouch for the outputs we share. We have to be totally honest about the AI's involvement. This involves creation diligence, being highly thoughtful about which systems you're choosing to use, and transparency diligence, which means being upfront with your colleagues or your clients. The reason this matters is pretty simple, honestly. It's your professional reputation on the line. The AI is definitely not going to take the blame if a project goes south or contains a massive error. You will. You carry the ultimate deployment diligence.
Moving right along to Section 2, inside the AI brain, technical concepts.
Now that we've got our philosophy locked in, let's dig into the technical vocabulary you need to truly understand what's happening under the hood. It all comes down to the transformer architecture. This was a massive breakthrough in 2017 that fundamentally changed the game by allowing AI to process huge sequences of text in parallel. And here's where it gets crazy. Thanks to scaling laws, which basically means feeding these models more data and exponentially more computing power, they don't just get a little bit better. They actually cross thresholds where entirely new skills emerge out of nowhere. It's a surprising fact that these emergent capabilities can literally shock the developers who built the models. Like, suddenly an AI just understands how to translate a language it was never explicitly taught simply because the model got large enough.
Let's talk about the AI's temperature setting. I want you to think about this like literal heat. When you turn up the temperature, the AI becomes highly varied, random, and creative. Picture a pot of bubbling, unpredictable, boiling water. But if you turn that temperature down, the responses become highly predictable, super focused, and consistent. Very much like the rigid, organized structure of ice crystals. Knowing exactly when to crank up the heat for a creative brainstorming or freeze things down for strict coding tasks is an absolute superpower.
Now, because AI models have a hard knowledge cutoff date based on exactly when they were trained, they can sometimes suffer from hallucinations. This is when the AI confidently makes something up that sounds completely plausible, but is just factually wrong. To fix this, we use retrieval augmented generation, or RAG for short. RAG completely solves this issue by pulling in live, external knowledge sources during your prompt, keeping the AI totally grounded in reality. So instead of asking the AI to guess a company's recent revenue and risking a wild hallucination, RAG allows the model to literally read today's live financial report before it even formulates an answer.
All right, Section 3, Mastering Prompt Engineering, Guiding the Output.
With our technical vocabulary now established, we can totally level up how we communicate. One of the best ways is the think first or chain of thought approach. This essentially forces the AI to work step by step, dramatically improving its logical reasoning. Instead of just demanding a complex final answer right out of the gate, you explicitly ask the model to break the problem down and show its work first. It turns out your middle school math teacher hit the nail on the head. Forcing the AI to show its work and process its intermediate logical steps out loud actually leads to a significantly more accurate and deeply considered final result. By combining a few specific prompting techniques, you completely eliminate the guesswork and get exactly what you're looking for. Take few-shot learning. This allows you to teach the AI what you want simply by showing it a couple of examples of your desired input and output. Then there's role definition, which sets the baseline. You can literally tell it to explain quantum mechanics to you as if it were Richard Feynman. And lastly, output constraints. These are a lifesaver. They ensure you don't get a rambling 5-page essay when all you actually needed was a strictly formatted JSON file or a brief bulleted list.
Which leads us to Section 4, 3 Modes of Interaction, Scaling Up. As your fluency with these tools grows, the very nature of how you collaborate with AI fundamentally changes. The baseline level here is automation. In this mode, the AI acts essentially as a super-fast, highly compliant intern following your strict orders. It is a one-way street. You define exactly what needs to be done with highly specific instructions, and the AI just executes it. While this is absolutely fantastic for repetitive drudgery, you have to remember that it's also highly brittle. If your initial instructions have a flaw in them, well, this highly compliant intern is going to perfectly and rapidly execute that flaw without ever questioning it.
Then, we step up to a much more dynamic relationship, augmentation. This is where the real magic of generative AI begins to shine, because you aren't just barking orders anymore. You are collaborating as a true partner. You ask a question, the AI provides a draft. You push back on its logic, using that discernment we talked about earlier, and together you iteratively arrive at a much stronger final product than either of you could have created entirely alone.
And finally, we reach the absolute pinnacle of the ladder, agency. In this mode, you step back from micromanaging the process entirely. You establish the AI's knowledge base and behavioral parameters, and you configure it to work autonomously. It's genuinely mind-blowing to think about. The AI isn't just drafting text anymore. It is actively taking actions, running tools, and executing complex workflows in the background while you focus your attention on entirely different, higher-level strategic priorities.
And that brings us perfectly to Section 5, Coding with Claude Agents. Agency in action. To really illustrate this concept of agency, let's look at a concrete real-world application, Claude Code. Guys, this isn't just a chatbot you copy and paste from. It is an agentic tool sitting directly in your terminal or IDE that actually understands your entire code base. Because it has agency, it independently reads multiple files, writes code, and even runs terminal commands. This completely flips a developer's day upside down. Instead of spending 3 hours doing mundane typo hunting or repetitive refactoring, you hand all of that off to the agent. Suddenly, you have the time to actually focus on high-level architecture and planning.
The true power of an agentic tool is how seamlessly it connects to the platforms you are already using, acting autonomously on your behalf. Want to automatically route bug reports directly into pull requests? You just integrate Claude Code with Slack. Need automatic code review on every single pull request? Tie it right into GitHub Actions or GitLab CI/CD. It can even debug live web applications directly through a Chrome integration. It works across environments, taking tasks started locally on your machine and executing them seamlessly in the cloud. It's the whole shebang.
If you are ready to deploy this level of agency, setting up persistent instructions in memory will make the AI an absolutely indispensable part of your team. You can drop Claude.md files right into your directories, which access persistent standing instructions so the agent always knows the specific rules for your project. And by utilizing its auto memory feature, the AI actually learns your preferences over time. That is a massive quality of life upgrade, because you never have to repeat your baseline requirements again. You are quite literally training an autonomous colleague.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to really think about how mastering these concepts today prepares you for the incredible autonomous tools coming tomorrow. We've climbed from the basic philosophical building blocks of delegation and discernment straight through prompt engineering all the way to unleashing agentic workflows that edit code and run commands while you're grabbing a coffee or even while you sleep. As models continue to scale up and their emergent capabilities explode, the question isn't whether AI will do the work anymore, it's how effectively you will guide it. So what processes in your day are you ready to hand over to an autonomous agent right now? Keep asking those questions, keep refining your fluency, and I will see you next time.